California earthquakes. A mystic who predicted these tremors says there's more of this coming, more devastation is coming. And I remember we did a video on this about a month ago, and his description of what he saw coming was really talking about big earthquakes. And, well, we talked about it, and we all had something in the back of our head saying, well, you know, maybe he's just overreacting, he's being a fearmonger, etc., and trying to bring people to fixing their lives and so on and so forth. And because he was a rabbi, he's a rabbi, and that's his job. Well, it turned out that it didn't take that long a time for all this to come about, and he's come out making more statements of the same. This is by Sean Martin on Express UK, and this is the same rabbi who had predicted the California earthquakes, and he believes that there's more devastation in the future, and that it will be accompanied by not only strong earthquakes, but also, from what he says, volcanic eruptions and even more, which will bring the demise of the world. This is, of course, all of his belief. He says a powerful earthquake registering 6.4 magnitude on the Richter scale that we know rocked Southern California on July 5th. That was the 6.4 actually was on July 4th. The July 5th earthquake was the 7.1. This rabbi is from Israel, and he believes he predicted this. In December last year, this Rabbi Mordecai Genut, Genut, spoke to Breaking Israel News about his book titled Davar Bito, B''ito. And he says it's a guide to the Jewish calendar. And Rabbi Genut said that after the solar eclipse across the Americas, there will be earthquakes across the globe. Well, we know that the total solar eclipse always brings very big earthquakes. And we said that even at the eclipse, when I made the video of the eclipse, I told you that be careful because we're going to have big earthquakes. And there are those people that claim that eclipses have nothing to do with earthquakes. But, you know, there are civilizations going back thousands of years that have kept their eyes on this, and they have noticed a repeated sequence of solar eclipses and devastating earthquakes and earth changes. That's why, for example, when they had a solar eclipse, it was a bad omen. And there was a solar eclipse at the time when, I just remembered it, so I have to say it to you, at the time of Alexander the Great, when he was going against the Persians, and there was a solar eclipse, and his soldiers came to him, his general said, you know, there's going to be a solar eclipse, and they say it's a bad omen. And he turned around and said to them, no, it's good for us because we won't be devastated by the heat of the sun as we're fighting them. All right, so, you know, they knew what it meant. Anyway, this rabbi goes on to say it's not just big earthquakes and volcanic eruptions that will follow. He also said there's going to be conflicts and wars as well. Now, in his book Davar Bito, talking about what's happening and the solar eclipse across the Americas, he said a lunar eclipse in the month of Shevat, Shevat, is a sign of the rise of the aspect of din, or judgment, in the world. Din, I know Dan, Jordan, for example, Dan is the judge. Now, the eclipse will rule over the Americas, but for Israel, it will bring chesed, or loving kindness, he says. There will be a marked increase in earthquakes and volcanoes, even more than we have seen in the past year, he says. This is quoting him from this. And that's exactly what happened. The eclipse was over, for example, the eastern part of the Pacific, and cutting across over the lower part of North America, cutting towards South America, Central and South America. This happened on July 2nd, as we know, and it was followed on July 3rd by the 6.2 earthquake off north of Vancouver Island in Canada. That was July 3rd, and 13 hours later, July 4th in the morning, around 10:30 in the morning, we had the 6.4 earthquake in California. And the day later, July 5th, Friday evening, the 7.1, which were, by the way, two different faults that were very close to each other. And it's got the geologists scrambling to figure out how it was that these faults crisscrossed and ticked each other off. Well, of course, they were on top of each other. Anyway, they've got their work cut out for them because they have to be able to forecast what will be going on. So this rabbi says there'll be more of the same, and he followed with following his eerily accurate predictions. It says more scientists, scholars, have now gone into his book to analyze Rabbi Genut's writings and believe worldwide devastation will ensue in the month of Tammuz, which begins in June and ends in July, which is now, for example. And the book goes on to say this, quote, concerning the eclipse, quote, this will be accompanied by the death of livestock, like was seen in the plague in Egypt, fevers and disease, and dry, hot winds, but the most devastating result will be the multitude of wars. If a war breaks out in the month of Tammuz, it will be beginning between two kings. In the end, one king will defeat the other, and he will be secure on his throne, end quote. Wow, that sounds like some of these predictions that the Oracle of Delphi used to do. I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh, but you know, she says, there will be a war between two kings and one of them will win and he will be secure. Of course, because that means he did away with his enemy. I mean, that's just common sense. But anyway, Rabbi Joseph Berger, who is another rabbi, he's the rabbi of King David's tomb on Mount Zion. He believes all of these premonitions will come true. He said, quote, Israel has nothing to fear from all this. We were given the Torah, and it is upon us to fulfill the commandments. If we do as we should, then Jews in Israel have nothing to fear, and everything can be fixed through tshuva, which means repentance. Okay, so everything is all right as long as you're in the country of Israel. Basically, that's what they're saying. These two rabbis, from what I understand, are in Israel. So Rabbi Yosef Berger and the rabbi that has predicted all this, Rabbi Mordecai Genut, everybody, after his noticing that he had predicted this, is digging into his book to find out what else he has said. So anyway, I'll leave a link below for you for this, and let's just keep an eye out on what's happening and what the USGS has to say about all this. As we know, these earthquakes are in the volcanic field of Koso volcanic field, and they seem to be increasing in number. The last time I saw it was 2,000. Let me check now if my trusty map, how much it says it is. Bear with me, please. We had 104 in Alaska, and it's increased to 1,940 over California. Yeah, the Quakes have increased from 2,000 to 2,175 worldwide, 1,940 in California, 21 in the area of the New Madrid Fault, 104 in Alaska, and 1,940 over California. So they're increasing, unfortunately. So I'll leave links below for you for this. Thank you. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.